In this training video, I'm going to teach you how to make a pre-foreclosure offer in REIPro. Now, there's two basic ways that you can do this, and the first way is to what we call takeover payments. So that means I'm going to, in general, and again, we have numerous training videos in our education center that I would encourage you to check out to learn more about this strategy. But taking over payments is nothing more than keeping the loan in place, but making up all those back payments to stop the foreclosure. That gives us time to go into the property, rehab the property, and then sell the property, which will eventually pay off the original loan and walk away with money. The other way to actually buy a home in pre-foreclosure is just to cash the seller out. So that's really going to follow our cash offer formula, along with a couple of added expenses. In this training video, I'm going to talk about taking over the payments. So as I scroll down into the property value, remember, we've already ran the comparable sales, which came out to 307. You do see the rent value there as well. We're going to move into the loan balance. Now, you can really only get the exact loan balance by contacting the owner, talking to them, and getting a payoff statement. So the owner's going to have to reach out to the bank to get this payoff statement. So in this example, the payoff is $238,000. You also want to put in their current monthly payment as well, because by taking over the payments, you're going to have to start making those monthly payments during the time that you're rehabbing the property before you sell it. In this particular case, it's $1,250. Next, you'll see the auction date. If we have the auction date, we'll carry that over. If for some reason the auction date has changed, been postponed, of course, you could go in and just click the calendar and set the new date. Now, if we could go up to the top, step 2, expenses. The very first thing is what we call back payments. These are the total payments that the seller's behind on to bring the loan current. So in this example, the back payments on this home is $12,500. The only way you can get this number is through the seller. The seller's been getting these notices on and on, but you want to get the most recent update on this, because just think about it. Each month is going to change. They're going to keep getting further behind. Now, if they're behind on payments, could they be back on taxes or HOA liens? So you definitely want to verify what other debts are owed on this property. In this example, we're going to leave that blank. Now, generally with any kind of agreement, and this is really going to be a seller finance agreement, I usually have an attorney draw up my seller finance agreement, and what I am charged is $500. Now, that could vary depending on what attorney you use, where you are located, and so forth. They could go all the way up to $3,500. Now, acquisition cost is going to be closing that. So once I have my agreement all signed with the seller, we are going to actually close this deal, but keep the loan in the seller's name. The deed will then get transferred over into our name. So I know that the closing costs in this area is roughly around $1,200. If you don't know this, obviously, if the attorney that drew up your agreement, your seller finance agreement, if they do closings, they could give you a rough ballpark about what the closing cost would be. As we scroll down, you're going to see moving expense. A lot of times the owner can't afford to move out of the house. Now, keep in mind, if the owner has already moved out of the house, then that just makes your life a little bit easier. But generally, if they're in the house, they can't afford to move. A lot of times we will offer $5,000. Here's the thing. Don't give them the $5,000 until the house is all cleaned up, they're ready to go. Because you will find that there will be people, you give them $5,000 and they don't move, right? And then you're going to court trying to evict them, and it just causes chaos. Next is going to be our repair expense. So if you went through step 3 and you filled this out, in this particular property, we're going to say there's $25,000 in repairs. And this is kind of minor stuff. Maybe we just need to update this particular property. Next is our hedge expense. And I like to go 10% of our actual repair costs just for any kind of hidden repairs that we didn't actually see. Next, it's going to be holding costs. Now, holding costs are also going to be the taxes, insurance. You're going to have utilities hooked up to this property while you're fixing this property up. I'm going to estimate this to be $1,000. I put in a holding time of 2 months. It's like I said, it's not a major rehab. It's just, a little bit of lipstick here and there. We're going to bring it up to speed. Now, if I'm going to use an agent to sell this property, you could then go in and apply that commission rate. Now, this could change depending on where you live and what those commissions are. Next is going to be closing costs. So keep in mind, not only did I close on the property to take the deed, I've now fixed up the property and now I'm reselling it to a new qualified buyer. I'm going to go ahead and enter in those costs there. If there are any other expenses that we did not include, this is where you would want to add those expenses. And at the very bottom is any kind of proceeds that you may want to work out with the owner. Now, if I don't add any proceeds, what we're basically doing is stopping the foreclosure, saving their credit for 10 years, and getting them out of this situation. There could be deals that you work where there's a ton of equity in the property and you want to do some type of split with the owner. Feel free to work those numbers. Make sure it's obviously a good deal for you. And at the same time, the owner could actually walk away from this. Now, keep in mind, they don't receive any money until you've fixed up the property and eventually have sold it. So this really makes it a win-win. So if the numbers work, go for it. Now, if we go back up to our summary, you're going to see our pre-foreclosure offer. You're going to see the expenses, the loan balance, the after repaired value, the total debt on the property, and what potential profits there are. So in this example, you're going to see a potential profit of only $680. So in this particular example, this deal may not work, right? So why would I spend that much money, that much time, that much effort to make $680? Financially, it really doesn't make sense. Now, at the end of the day, it helps somebody out, but maybe this would be better if we did what's called a short sale in this example. So as you can tell, not all deals are going to work out in pre-foreclosure. You have to make sure the numbers are correct, which is the most important thing. Now I could save this and then obviously you could email it. Now let's just say that this home, maybe it really didn't need much in expenses. Maybe we just needed to repaint a couple of rooms. So if our expenses start to come down, of course, now we're starting to see a better profit. Also keep in mind, they don't have a ton of equity to work with on this property. After repaired value is 307, loan balance is 238. They've got some back payments. It needs some work. Keep that in mind that we have to make these numbers work to make it financial. Obviously, we want to make it a win-win for everyone, but at the same time, you need to be compensated for your time to do this. So I hope this training video helped and I look forward to seeing you on the next training video.